Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Review Crew with me, your host, Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Orland, and it is week 14, and you are joining us here on the Grid Irn-Cru podcast. Well, folks, the rubber is absolutely hitting the road. It is the business end of the season. Week 14, as we say, if for your fantasy season, that's your fantasy regular season done. You'll be looking at playoffs for most folk, and even your actual NFL regular season is starting to get interesting. People are either cementing teams in their playoffs or their draft choices for next year, which is exciting to be thinking about your draft choices, I suppose. Now, as always, remember, like, subscribe, follow the crew. You can find us on X, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube, we're on Threads. We are wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, chuck your comments to us on X and everywhere else. Join the conversation, folks. It would be great to hear from you. Now, as always, I am joined by some of the finest crew members that we have. And it's even better today because I'm the only person celebrating Victory Tuesday. But Victory Monday this week was mine and mine alone. So he's had it easy for weeks and weeks and weeks. But it's been less fly, Eagles fly, and more cry, Beagles cry for a fortnight, not even just 1 week. Kev, do you even remember what Victory Monday feels like?
No, it seems like a distant memory. I'm a beleaguered eagle now. That's
I like that.
that sums up pretty much how I'm feeling. I'm just desperate to get back to celebrating Victory Mondays, but it's another tough one next week. So I might have to wait one more week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting about the football in general this weekend and try and cheer myself up.
Notice that it's football in general this weekend, as opposed to I'm really looking forward to talking about my Eagles. It is a thing, but like it's what we were all saying when we were coming into this part of the season that this was a tough run for the Eagles. There was no hiding from it that as a run of games coming away with any kind of reasonable string of victories would be quite a thing. So picking up the odd loss, still in a good spot. Still in a good spot, mate. Going from one team that is admittedly still in a good spot to one that, nah, they're not in a good spot anymore. I was trying to think of nice ways to say it. There's no more Victory Mondays because this man has been vetoed. It is a resident cheesehead. Tell me, Liam, has the love ended?
Oh, we're still the seventh seed. It's all fine. All fine.
Just were like Liam's kind of thoughts on football right now are that meme with the dog in the room that's on fire. This is fine.
It's fine.
This is fine.
Fine. Hey, that age schedule started so well. Just 4 more to go. That's fine.
That's very true. Right. Okay. Well, welcome, gents. It is time to get going. As always, we are going to get going with our kick-off question. And it's rookie time. Now, there has been much chat made of CJ Stroud this year. He is having, and I think it's fair to say, an utterly incredible rookie NFL season so far. He is, to give us a reminder, he is currently sat on 3,631 yards, 20 touchdowns for 5 picks. He's in a couple of ropey weeks, and he was ropey this week. But generally speaking, I think it's fair to say that he has been enjoying a fantastic rookie year. But the question that we have to get us going tonight, folks, is what is your favourite ever rookie season? Now, I'm going to be nasty about this. I'm going to say it's a rookie season that you've seen. Now, the reason I'm being so nasty is myself, Kev, and Liam, relatively speaking, are quite new to the game. We are quite new to the league. We're not seasoned veterans like some of the other guys in the crew who talk about watching it back when it was in, Channel 4 back in 1991. We are quite new to the game. So all of our rookie picks are a wee bit shinier. Now mine, there is only one. There is only one man whose rookie season was the most glorious thing in the world, and that is the one, the only Baker Mayfield. 3,725 yards. Okay, right, he had 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. But still, it was an excellent year. It was a year that sparked a bit of joy into Browns fans' hearts, and that takes some doing. In Cleveland, particularly, we were coming off the back of an 0-16 year. It was an incredible year. He really showed us a lot. Then, okay, his year 2, we're going to move on and forget about. But year 3 was good as well. Baker only does good years in odd numbers. It's something I realised much, much earlier on in my NFL fandom. So for me, my favourite ever rookie year that I have watched has to belong to the one and the only Baker Mayfield. Liam, what about yourself? Who is your favourite rookie season that you can think of? It doesn't even need to be a cheesehead if you don't want it to be.
No, well, it's not a cheesehead. As you see, we've obviously, relatively speaking, since we've got into it fully, relatively new to the sport. But I think the one I remember, I think maybe because there was a bit of a story behind it, was Herbert's rookie season, where he came in after Taylor got his punctured lung.
Yeah.
He's meant to be sitting on the bench for most of the season, I think, just kind of learning the ropes, and then he kind of got thrown in. When I look back, though, I didn't realize it was like week 2 that happened. I thought it was later than that like week 4 or 5. And he went on to, I think, over 4,000 yards. What do they have?
4,336.
31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and one rookie of the year, I think, that year as well. So yeah, it was just a season where you're watching every game. He was throwing crazy balls out everywhere. So it was definitely a fun thing to see.
Oh, I didn't realize that. It makes it. I was kind of hoping that like these stats wouldn't be as good as Baker's. But yeah, no, his stats are incredible, as you say. 4,336 yards, 31 TDs, 10 picks, only in 15 games. So yeah, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Passer rating 98.3. Bloody great. So great shout. Herbert, although we'll talk about him a wee bit later, not having the bestest of times since rookie season was 2020. So it's not been an easy ride for him since then. Right. Kev, what about yourself, sir? Who is your number one rookie season that you've enjoyed watching?
Well, I feel like it's a bit of a cheat or a cop out, but I'm going to go for somebody this season. I've really, although I've been interested in the Eagles and watching the Eagles for about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years at least. It's only been the last 2 or 3 seasons where I've paid real attention to all the other teams and the the new players coming into the league. And this season, I feel like it's been a great season for rookies. There's been loads that have come into the league. Obviously, we're talking about it because of CJ Stroud, but at the Texans, he's got Tank Dell, who's absolutely balling. You've got a chain at the Dolphins, who's really great to watch. I had about 5 or 6 in my head earlier on when I was thinking about it, but for me, the standout this year and somebody that I've really enjoyed watching has been Puka Nacua. I think when Cooper Kupp started the season hurt, nobody was really expecting much for the Rams at all, and Nacua just started incredibly. And even now that Kupp's back in the team, he's still like kind of hogging the targets, and he's still making incredible catches. And it's the runs after the catch for Nacua. He's so powerful. For a rookie to be doing that is just ridiculous. So he's been my favourite so far.
I think that again, you look at the stats for Nacua this year. It's one for my little fantasy football link. He's one that if you got him in the waiver wire week 2, that was a season changer. In our Gridiron 2 league, I might have spaffed my entire fab budget week 2 to ensure that I got Mr. Nacua. And he certainly helped me into the playoffs. But yeah, he's already sitting where, 13 games played, and he's at 1,113 yards. Not hundreds and hundreds of touchdowns. He's only had 4 touchdowns, but to be fair, the Rams have been a wee bit hit and miss on offense throughout the year. But he is certainly having a phenomenal rookie year. Certainly something that will be very exciting to keep an eye on next year. think what you're saying, Kev, spot on. There's been a few rookies this year. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a sign of me not paying enough attention in years gone past. Feels like in years gone past we've not had as many rookies that we've been as excited. There's been the odd one, you know, when you get the odd one or two that you debate rookie of the year, but I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean,
Feels like there's loads.
last year, I think Damien Pearce had a really good season, and he looked promising, but he's really struggled to build on that this year. And Kenneth Walker, after Penny got injured, absolutely exploded for the Seahawks. He had an incredible season, but yeah, I feel like this year there's just so many. There's tons of them that are kind of lighting up.
Well, say looking at that, the rookie of the year winner. When you look back at the kind of the pedigree that comes out of that list, it is something else. Like I'm not even going to go back that far. Do you know what? I'll go. This is going to make me feel a bit sick doing this. I'll go back to 2014 and you'll figure out why I'm stopping there in a minute. So last year, Garrett Wilson. Then gone before that, Jamar Chase, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Saquon, Kamara, Dak, Todd Gurley, and we'll stop on this one, OBJ. Blah! OBJ was there as well. But you look at and you go back further, there's even, illustrious names like Matt Ryan, Cam, RG3, all of these guys that went on to have, at least in pieces, brilliant NFL careers. So, says a lot for the really high caliber rookies we've got this year. And do you know what? The way too early conversation. Who would you have for this year's class? Kev, you've kind of given us yours. But who would you have as your rookie of the year this year? So, well, Kev, double down. Who's your rookie of the year?
I actually think, if you want him. Yeah, I was going to say, I think I would give it to Stroud. But just out of the others, the one I've enjoyed watching the most has probably been Nakua.
What about you, Liam? Where did you go?
Oh, I say, again, I think Stroud's up there. But again, we touched on him. I think Tank Dell's been fun to watch, getting those explosive plays for Stroud. He's been kind of made the Texans fun again.
Make Texas fun again. We're chanting there somewhere. The sensible hat on. Stroud's got it so now. Yeah. We know that how lopsided some of the awards can be, particularly skewed towards QBs. I think it's a big ask for somebody not named Stroud to get it. But I'm gonna chuck my vote of who I've enjoyed watching. Another Texan that's not been mentioned yet. Will Anderson Jr. Very much enjoyed watching. Been really disruptive. So yeah, don't be wrong. He's not going to get Rookie of the Year, but certainly one that I've enjoyed watching. Right, okay, guys. We are going to move on. We are going to get going with our big games of the week. And for a change, I'm actually having a game. I'm in a few weeks off where I've not taken a game of the week, so I'm taking one this week, and it is of course, it's Flacco time. Who knew Joe Flacco knew how to play quarterback, by the way? Who knew? Fresh off the couch, slinging balls. So, yes, it was the Jags at my beloved 8-5 Cleveland Browns. Yes, you heard that right. 8-5, and we've only had the 4 quarterbacks starting this year. It's wild. I can't get my head around it. It was a game that, it was a really interesting game to watch. So I don't know how many of you caught it. It was a game where it was about passing, which was wild for me. You know what I mean? It's a game where the Browns only put up 82 yards on the ground. The Jags only put up 58 yards on the ground. Both defenses absolutely standing up to the ground game and just not letting anybody really get going. Jerome Ford stuck up 51 yards over 12 attempts, but it really didn't do a lot. Okay, Kareem Hunt managed to squeak a wee rushing touchdown in, but it was a minimal run for the actual score. So both of the teams locked it down. You've got T-Law on one leg, hobbling about, doing his very best not to let Miles eat him. And you've got the corpse of Joe Flacco, who I should really be nicer about, considering that he stepped into my team and he's actually balling out. Joe Flacco steps in, chucks it for 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. Okay, yeah, he chucked 1 pick as well, but Flacco's allowed 1 pick again. But then you get the other side of it. And you go, right, T-Law, 257 yards, not the most. Not a vintage Trevor Lawrence stat line, only the 257 yards. He got 3 touchdowns, though. He got his 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The Cleveland Browns secondary absolutely just sussed him out so much, just in terms of grabbing them. He was really aggressively targeting Martin Emerson Jr. Thought, I have got your number. I am going to abuse you sitting there at corner. And he get picked off twice. Then he thought, okay, you're not the one. I'll target Greedy instead. And Greedy picked him off as well. It was a game, funny enough, that I thoroughly enjoyed watching. I'm not sure if anybody got that vibe for how I'm talking about it. But even big things as well. The penalties minimal from both sides, although 3 for the Browns, 4 from the 8 for the Browns, 7 for the Chargers. The Jags. Boys, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. So the penalties were, I was saying they're not an event. I'm actually now remembering some of the penalties. Some of the penalties for the Browns are the joys of our situation on the offensive line. And we have picked up yet another injury as Dewand is now out for the season getting surgery. So that is another hole in the offensive line. But to be fair, as I've said, the Browns have went 8-5 this year, and frankly, I'm due a call-up to play somewhere. We've got that many holes all throughout that team. The Jags, still sitting nice, still sitting at 8-5. It was one of these ones, though, that if the Jags pick up many more, if T-Law goes down, they are sat, the Colts are nipping at their heels. The Texans are nipping at their heels. They could easily become embattled in a wee bit of a quagmire in the AFC South. Difference between the South and the AFC North is that, as much as I hate to admit it, Ravens have got the North sewn up. They'll win the North, and that's kind of done. It's now just down to Cleveland and the Steelers battling it out for that number 2 spot, on the notion that surely Jake Browning in Cincinnati can't keep playing well. Really.
Confidence, Brian, confidence.
And I've been saying things like this, and I keep thinking, I was like, but then the only starting quarterback left in the North is Lamar. the AFC North is currently sitting. We didn't even pull up the stats. So what we've got: Ravens are 10-3, Browns are 8-5, Steelers and the Bengals are both 7-6, and Lamar's the only starting quarterback left in the division. The Browns have been sat 4 quarterbacks in the year. Steelers are now going to be their 3rd week with their second start, but they lost Pickett kind of relatively early, I think, the week before last. So that will be them on kind of 2.5 weeks with Mitch Trubisky. And then the Bengals obviously had their big patch at the start of the year where Burrow was hurt. They tried to kind of play him through that. Now he's really hurt and he's done. And it's Browning's getting starts. So how this division can be so competitive with so many pieces at the most important position in the game is baffling. So this is where normally I like kind of pitch it out and ask people questions about what they enjoyed about the game and all the rest of it. But I'm kind of just enjoying wallowing in the glory of my victory. So
I wanted to ask you a question, Brian.
Go for it, Kev. Right. You take it ends, mate.
So, Freshby's victory this week. You're impressed with Flacco. Who do you think out of your 4 starting quarterbacks this year has been the best?
Flacco, and it's not close.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
And then, therefore, does that make you even more mad that you gave that massive contract?
Oh, furious. So this is what I now to be fair, with the full disclosure, I have never been a fan of the Watson deal, and I'm not even going to go in to the moral side of it. Even just what we gave up for him was too much. What we then paid him was far too much. We are in absolute cap hell for the next 4 years. Deshaun Watson's cap hit next season something like 60 million. Just him. So yeah, it was a wild overpay, both in what we sent the Texans for the trade and what we gave Watson as the contract. We're sat, and then we're even going to put my Baker fanboyism to the side as well, as much as I would have loved to have kept Baker. You look at Flacco now, yeah. Is Joe Flacco the answer at quarterback? No. Flacco has came in. He's a nice, steady hand. He's still got a bit of a rocket for an arm. As we've seen, Amari Cooper is loving having him under centre compared to DTR or to PJ Walker, who we've released. He's away on the waivers. It shows you what just a nice, stable quarterback who's functional can do with their team.
But I mean, what would Deshaun Watson have to do? I mean, when you look at what you can get out of a guy like Flacco and, the probably relative buttons that you're paying him, what would Watson have to do to justify the money that he's on, the contract that he got?
Right. Games, you're talking AFC Championship game. Making it there. Making it to an AFC Championship game. If it brings us that far, you'd be hard-pressed to say he wasn't worth, particularly if it's on the back of, so as opposed to this year, where we could easily go into the playoffs and do well on the back of our defense, because our defense is absolutely elite. But if we go next season, let's say, we make it to the AFC Championship and it's on the back of top offense led by Watson, you kind of need to say fine. Even if we lose in the AFC Championship game, you make it that far, you've got to respect the player getting you there. Stats, I would want to see passing 3.5, 4,000 yards passing, at least something like 25 plus touchdowns to fewer than 5 picks would be what I'd want. For what he's been paid, he's not been paid as an okay quarterback. He's not been paid as a good quarterback. He's been paid as an absolutely league-leading elite quarterback. And yeah, he's had a couple of flashes in a Browns uniform. He's had a couple of games where he's played fine. Elite, not by a million years. He has been outshone this year by the ghost of Joe Flacco. And that really tells you all you need to know about what Deshaun Watson's been up to this far. Yeah, he's been hurt. Yeah, he's been that. Yeah, he's been the other. Baker played through having one arm and half a leg left. Put up reasonable performances. So yeah, no, Watson has to really pull it out, or I don't know. I think you'll be hard pressed to think of teams overpaying more than the Browns for trades, just with everything we put out for Watson. It was just a wee bit much. But enough about me. And I'm going to now see that. Thank you, boys. I feel good. I feel better about my day.
I was just going to jump in there. I was going to say, I did like Flacco's first touchdown when Njoku slipped out the back. It was a play action. I thought it was a good start to how the game was going to unfold. That was a nice move.
The Flacco to Njoku connection both weeks has been really, really good. This is where I even just try and quickly see if I can grab the stats. So this week he was 6 receptions for 91 yards, and then I'm not trying to remember who was quarterback with Denver. Then the week before last, he was 6 receptions for 59 yards. So Njoku's a criminally underused part of our offense. For somebody that's as talented as he is, I don't know. I get it. Stefanski does like to use him as a bit of a blocker, and he does it pretty well. He doesn't see enough targets for me. For somebody that's as big as Njoku is Jeeps, the guy's 6'4", 246 pounds of mountain. He's got good hands most of the time. He's had a couple of drops over the piece, but generally his hands are pretty decent. And he taps out at the most targets he's had in a game over the last wee stretch. 7 back against the Steelers. Oh no, sorry. He's 15 targets for 7 receptions against the Steelers. So I would like to see him get used more. But it was a nice indication how the game was going to go. And what a game. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Now we've had the happy. Time to move on to the sad dwarf. Kev. Now, do you know, actually, I'm not going to slag Kev off because for everybody listening, I offered Kev an out I said, because he talks Eagles every week when he's on, and most of the time he gets to enjoy it. And last week he had to wallow in the misery that was the defeat. And I offered him an out this week. I said we'd move the Eagles game to the week in the rear view, and he could address it then in one line. But he said no. I am a fan of conviction and courage, and I will stand up in the bad times as well as the good. So, Kev, on you go, mate. Your Eagles, it didn't go well. It wasn't your finest hour. So, talk us through it.
No. Well, I think, to be honest, where do I start? On the preview crew last week, I said I thought that the team that ran the ball and established a run game would come out on top, and I don't even really think that that's what happened. I think Dallas put up marginally more yards on the ground. Likewise, a relatively small amount more yards in the air. I think what happened in this game was that Dallas just played the big plays better. They just stood up when it counted at the big moments in the match, and then the Eagles in this one again, shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with some poor turnovers at crucial moments. This is where I grudgingly have to give credit to the Cowboys. They were excellent. Across the board, their defence was solid. They stopped us establishing our run game. They had a lot of variety in their attack. One massive difference between the two teams, I would say, and this is something that I touched on in the preview crew, was at tight end. I was desperate for Dallas Goedert to come back into this game because we really missed him. And he did come in, and he done all right. He made a couple of big plays, okay plays. But the difference when you look at the other side and see Ferguson, and it's the season he's having, by the way, when we're talking about rookies. He's one of the long list, I think, that's done a great job this season. When they needed to make a big play to keep the ball moving, they had him to go to. Obviously, CD Lamb is having a season, and he's always going to be tough to keep under wraps. And yeah, even they spread the ball around. They made a few plays through Dowdle, Pollard. It was just kind of giving me flashbacks to last week when the 49ers had so many options and we just didn't know where it was going to come from. And I think that the problem that we had is we did make some decent plays ourselves through AJ, although I think he did struggle a bit, and Devontae Smith. We just seem a bit one dimensional right now, and the problem we had here was that the Cowboys got out in front early. We were chasing it the whole time. And a couple of times when we looked like we were pulling ourselves back into the game, maybe within a score, within 10 points, we just couldn't keep the door shut at the other end. And the Cowboys, I mentioned it again in the preview, they've been putting up 30 plus points every home game, and they've done it again. And obviously, people talk about who are you playing against? They've went out and done it against what was considered to be one of the best defences in the league, although we look a wee bit short on that side of the ball at the minute. And I think that the offense is struggling to keep bailing us out and put up big numbers. So yeah, it was another tough watch as an Eagles fan. What I'm clinging to here is that you look at the Niners and they had three losses on the trot earlier in the season, and they now look unstoppable. I'm hoping that this is just a little dip, and that we can time it to kind of build back up in time for the playoffs. The other thing I would say with regards to that is that we've come through that incredibly tough schedule. This was probably the last day, maybe 5 or 6 games on the bounce that looked really, really tough. Earlier in the season, looking ahead, and to be honest, I think way back before a ball was kicked or thrown this year, we done the NFC East preview pod, and I think I predicted that the Eagles would maybe get something like 12-5
Yeah.
for the season. I think I was round about where I was expecting us to be. And sitting here at the moment with the record we've got, with the games that we've still got ahead, which on paper at least seem much easier, I'm still pretty upbeat. I've took a kick in the last 2 weeks, and my confidence has took a bashing. But when I look at it overall and think where I thought we would be at this point, given the schedule we had and where we actually are, I think we're still having a really good season and are in a really great spot. So I think it's still, although the Cowboys looked really good. I think we're still probably, in my eyes, favourites to take the division and possibly even still take the conference number 1 spot. So we just got to just take on the chin and just get back to work.
Well, see, tell you what then. So there's exactly where we'll go with this, mate. Because if we look at so NFC, it is yourselves, the Cowboys, or the Niners. It's one of the 3. Niners are obviously clinched into playoffs already, but number 1 seed is still up for grabs. So, yourselves, this is where I'm just got to double checking what the Niners record is. I'll check it in a minute. So yourselves sat there. You have 4 games remaining, tied for record with the Cowboys. Seagulls are coming to visit you. Then you need to go Giants, Cardinals, Giants. Now, Seahawks, Gino, he's banged up. I don't actually even know if Gino's likely to be back this week or not. Even if Gino is back, Gino this year is not Gino last year. DK got ejected for the last game and couldn't keep the heat. So those, as much as we went back and we went, right, okay, you had the run of Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys. And to be fair, for that game, you walked away, for that run of games, you walked away 3-2, which I don't think, if I'd offered you that before you played that first game against the Cowboys, I reckon you'd have taken 3-2.
All day long.
Surely for what's remaining, any more than 1 loss is a travesty.
Yeah.
And even at that, 1 loss against those 4 teams, you surely need to be looking at thinking that's not really acceptable either.
Yep. I expect us to go 4-0 now. It's just about how we respond to these last 2 weeks. But as I said, it's been a really, really tough run of games. And 3-0 in the first 3. I would never have dreamed that we would have got that. I'd expected us to probably lost one in those 3. So yeah, like the fact that we are where we are, I think we're on track to finish the season with a better record than what I hoped for at the beginning. So yeah, I think I'm not certain, but I think that the Cowboys have got quite a tricky last few games in comparison. So
that's where we're going to go here. And I'm going to put this one to your Celium. So Cowboys closing the season out: Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders. The Niners closing the season out, as I just grabbed their schedule. They are looking at Cardinals, right, fine. Ravens, Commanders, Rams. So I think it's fair to say, easiest running, definitely the Eagles. Hardest running, definitely the Cowboys. And the Niners are somewhere in the middle. Ravens are a hard game. Ravens are going to give them a game, particularly given it's in Baltimore. So that's going to be tough. Commanders are a weird team. I can't make any sense of the Commanders this year. Commanders turn up for really weird games and play amazing, and Sam Howell looks like he should be MVP. And
Tell me
then
about
other
it.
games, in other games, Sam Howell looks like nobody's actually explained all of the rules to him. So I can't make any sense of the Commanders. And the Rams are up and down. The Rams have got a reasonably talented roster, but they're a limited team these days. But on their day, they're good enough to play anybody. Do you reckon? How do you see? So, Liam, how do you see the NFC shaking out now? What do you see? Those are going to be your top three teams. How do you see them coming in?
I still can't see past the Niners. I think they are playing just ridiculous football. I think they obviously already clinched their spot in the playoffs. You can easily just see them winning out. Obviously, the toughest one in there is obviously the Ravens game, but I think it's at home, so slight advantage.
I'm going to double check. I thought it was in Baltimore. Double check.
And then as you say, I think the Cowboys obviously can't take anything from the Cowboys. The run they're on, the next two games away from home against the Bills and the Dolphins, tough matchups. Obviously, they're kind of unbeatable, or you can't beat them at home this season. Really, I think they're 7-0 at home this season. So now the two tough away games. This, I know everyone keeps saying, "Oh, they're going to need to play a good team." Obviously, they played the Eagles this week, a good team, got a good win out of it. You can't really say anything against the Cowboys there. So, but also the next two games, I suppose, will be. I suppose obviously it's crunch time now anyway, isn't it, for the overall seeds? But yeah, I think if they'll at least go 1-1. I think the next two games, I think they'll at least get one. Might lose one as well. I think. Where Bills at home are always a tough match. I know they're not being what they used to be, but they're always a tough sledging sort of thing. So it'll be interesting. I think overall, I think the Niners will top it. I think the Eagles will probably sneak out the division. I think, and then get the 2 seed. That's where I'm kind of looking at it for now. I think.
Right. Well, you're right enough. I was quite wrong. It is indeed in San Fran. So it's it's the Ravens are coming to the Niners. Do you know, Kev, I'm with you. I'm on Team Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Purely because I see the Eagles winning out. The Eagles winning out. The Niners could win out. I don't think I wouldn't be shocked. Turn around and somebody says, Niners went 4-0 last 4 games. I won't be surprised. They're going to leather the Cardinals. They will likely leather the Commanders. Although, as I said before, the Commanders are such a weird team this year. I have no idea what will happen there. And that one is in Washington, so God knows what will happen there. I don't know if does that make the Commanders better or worse? I don't even know this year. I don't see the Cowboys winning out. I see one of those games getting the better of the Cowboys. I don't know which one. I genuinely wouldn't even want to guess where I see the Cowboys dropping a game, but I see them dropping one game, and I won't be shocked if the Niners drop one. So for that reason, I am going Team Niners. Team Niners. No.
Team Niners.
Switch sides. No. Team Eagles. I'm with that. I see the Eagles in the NFC. But what happened? And I think actually that is exactly what the Eagles need, because you guys are a little banged up. It's not bad. Picking up enough little niggles that bye week, that precious bye week.
Yeah.
I really hope the Niners don't get it, because the last thing they need is a bye week.
Exactly. They need to play 2 games in a day. I think that's what they need.
What we're going to do, we're going to see those games against the Ravens and the Commanders. One of them's going to be at 12. The other one's going to be at 2:30. And we don't care if the first one hasn't finished yet. You're just going to play them both simultaneously and hope it works. Jesus. Unfortunately, I do need to say, as much as I can see the Eagles winning the NFC, I do think the Niners are the most complete team in football.
Yeah.
And I
definitely.
don't think that's a shocking thing to say anymore. As you said, Kev, there's just so many pieces. And even they've lost some pieces on defense. Like Hufanga has went down and all the rest of it, and they're still on both sides of the ball.
Stacked.
Sickening to watch. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you very much, Kev. Well, we're going for one person who was getting all the credit for me for sticking with it and talking about his team even when they were down, to somebody else who shamelessly, shockingly, welched out, and it might be because his team was playing really, really late last night, and we are in the UK, so it's quite hard to watch the late. So instead of that, Liam is going to talk to us about a game that I certainly know everybody was on side watching it, and everybody really wanted to make sure that we stayed on the right side of history. It was the Bills at the Chiefs. Talk to me about it, mate.
Another KC controversy, shall we say? Throwing in another the refs getting in their way again, of course. You know, it's the only thing that's happened these days for the KC.
Because the refs being against KC is clearly the narrative they're
it's not their wide receivers or anything like that. It's just the refs, definitely the refs. But yeah, no, it was a fun game to watch. Like the Bills needed to come in there into Arrowhead, needed to win out to get into the playoffs. Really, coming in, got off to a fast start. Went two touchdowns up, and I think, and then compare that to KC this season, which is another kind of weird thing. Another slow start. I think the first series, Mahomes threw another pick. I think it was batted, and then he picked off, and then the next three was then it was kind of punts in the next three, and as I say, by that time the Bills were already 14-0 up, and I think in years gone by the KC could have, the last few seasons you wouldn't be worried about that. Go down 2 scores, that's fine. Don't worry, it's Mahomes. They'll just keep going up. They'll get their mojo back, in the second quarter or something like that, and they'll just keep driving and make up the points. But it's been like that all kind of season. They're just not quite the same team. Mahomes is still Mahomes. I still think he does some crazy stuff every game, but it's just they haven't quite got. I think basically I alluded to the wide receivers now at the moment. They just don't have quite the talent there to kind of overcome those kind of losses or kind of losing those kind of scores. But the Bills, as I say, they kind of shot out, and to fair, it was the kind of James Cook show, really. Overall, he was top rusher. Okay, Allen got in there for his touchdown, as he always does. But he had top rusher, top receiver yards as well, for a touchdown, which was a nice first touchdown. But he still only played about, I think when I looked at the stats, he only played like 45, 50, nearly 50% of the snaps. He's still not actually overall playing a full complement of snaps. They're still mixing in Murray a lot, and he's coming out for third downs and getting near to the red zone. So fair play to him. Like, if they've that's been a kind of change you've kind of seen since they've got rid of the coordinator. They're kind of using the kind of checking down more to Cook, Allen, and then kind of launching it and hoping for Diggs. Obviously, Diggs will do Diggs things, but hoping for Davis, I suppose, trying to catch the long ball. So I think Davis didn't have any catches at all again this week. So it's kind of a kind of wee change of how they're approaching things, a bit more check downy. Still getting the kind of explosive plays out of it, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can now build on that. And I suppose turning to the other side, KC, I suppose they could have won it. They should have won it at the end. Really, was it within the last 2 minutes they had that touchdown taken back off the board for a small offside, shall we say? Small. Who knows? That will get debated for a long while yet, I think. But it's those kind of silly wee things that are just affecting their season. Mahomes, I think, it's been all over social media. Couldn't handle that. Was shouting at everyone and anyone. I think. To be fair to him, I think he came out today saying he shouldn't have done that, which is fair enough. Or what did he say? Something about it was not good for kids to see or something like that. He came out with saying so. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting now. I think KC are going to be hard pushed to get a home playoff position. So
hang on now, Liam. You're not telling me that the Arrowhead Invitational's been cancelled, are you?
Oh, I know. Just put back 12 months, maybe. Yeah, they've had some damage to some internal structures, and they're having to put it back for a while. So yeah.
Right, it's time. Let's deal with the elephant in the room first. Let's dance it round the table, boys. There's no point pretending that we don't know what we're talking about. It is, of course, was Kadarius Toney, or should Kadarius Toney have been flagged? Now, we're gonna deal with it the bit fussy. If it stood, it would have been so cool because yes, everybody loves a lateral. Everybody, particularly a lateral for Kelsey with a spiral on it and everything. Beautiful. It was lovely. Fabulous. However, I'm going to put my colours to the mast really quickly. Offsides is offsides is offsides. I don't care if you think the refs have been calling it inconsistently. I really don't care if you think the ref should have given you a wee nod before you started. You're paid millions of dollars to play this game. Know the rules. I don't buy it. It was out. It was offsides. Doesn't matter how they try and dress it up. He broke the rule. He got flagged for it. Tough.
Yep.
Anybody sympathetic?
I'm in the same. I think there was some quote about when the ref was basically like, we knew he was offside so much that I couldn't see the ball. That's how offside he was. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not okay. They've been calling it, not calling it, whatever you want to say. But to be blatant, you can't really say against the refs. They're going to call it. So yeah, I don't think you can argue, really, can you?
What were you saying, Kev? Where did you come to know this stuff?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Brian. I cannot, for the life of me, get my head around like the players expecting the referee to give them a heads up that they're lined up in the wrong position. I mean, I think it was even Andy Reid who moaned about it and said, "Yeah, normally the ref will tip me off that one of my players is offside so that I can call them back." What? Like seriously? Like that just baffles me. I can't for the life of me get my head around why that's a thing, if it is a thing. If I was the defensive team's coach, I'd be going off my head if the ref was saying, "Hey, you're offside, get back on." Like that's not what they're there for. They're there to call you for it, not to stop you from doing it.
That's the thing. Don't know. I get Mahomes' kind of his general points. It's another week and we're talking about the refs, and yeah, I think most folk agree officiating in the league hasn't been brilliant this year. There's been some missed calls, there's been some bad calls, all the rest of it. We're not here to play judge and jury of that one. Then, and it obviously is true. There's no, Andy Reid has no reason to say normally the refs give me a nod if it's not true. That why would you make that up? But it is the madness and the fact that. So that's a thing.
Aye.
The refs need to because let's not kid on this. Like the NFL as a game, it's one of the big things that stops people getting into it. The rules are nuanced. There's lots and lots of depth and detail and all the rest of it. Not in offsides. See the ball shape thing. Be behind it. End. Listen, not stay there. Stay on your side of the bar. It's
the fact that they've got the lines like along the pitch as well. So it's not like in football when you're trying to call an offside and you're trying to look at the cut of the grass, right? No, there's painted white lines there. There's margins. You can see clearly, where the ball's sat, and you can check against the nearest margin to you. Like, what's so difficult about it? I just don't get it.
What more do you want exactly? Now, okay, so right with this, and it was, this is an interesting one because the point I was going to make coming away from that, and we all agree, suck it, Casey. Sorry, guys, just get it renewed. If you don't want, and to be fair, because this is the kind of thing that I've had leveled at me when I've complained about the Browns losing to bad calls and all the rest of it, and you need to agree with the sentiment to this. You shouldn't put a good team doesn't put themselves in the position where let's even assume the refs made the bad call. Or one bad call from the refs loses you. If you're a good team, you deal with it before it gets to that point. But anyway, putting all of that to aside, one bit, and it jumped out at me because it was actually a similar situation with the Bills against the Chiefs as it was with the Cowboys against the Eagles. And it's a stat that I love because I really think that there's a lot to it. Time of possession. Bills, 35 minutes to the Chiefs, 25. And when we even go and we look at, as I try really desperately to pull it back up quickly, the stats for the Eagles and the Cowboys. Cowboys, even more, 36 minutes to the Eagles, 24. Do we think that this is the kind of thing that, the scoreline, sorry, Kev, the scoreline in the Cowboys-Eagles game wasn't that close. It was obviously a lot closer in the Bills-KC game. But when you look at the box score, you look at the stats, you can see some of the similarities creep out. Neither team dominated the other in passing or in rushing. Only part of either game statistically where you've seen that domination was time of possession. And is that the kind of thing where, I don't know, what do we think? Is that just where teams are being really well coached, really using that to control the game and control their opponents? Or am I just really looking for a stat that I quite like and I keep talking about?
No, but I think you are. Like, they always talk about trying to keep Mahomes, like going to KC, keeping Mahomes off the field. So if you can control the time possession, that's like an extra win right there, isn't it? So yeah, it's actually, if you can have more of the ball, you're going to have more opportunity. In theory, have more opportunity to do more things. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for us, I mean, I mentioned it before in terms of, like you say, the other stats they didn't dominate. Obviously, being on the field more on offense allows you to make more plays. And obviously, Dallas did make more plays than us that resulted in points. Whereas, I think we actually had more yards per play against Dallas, which surprised me a little bit when I looked at it. But the big issue we had was the turnovers, that gets our offense off the field and gives Dallas offense more time on the field to make those plays and score those points. So it is a huge thing. You do occasionally see some games where it's really even, and yet one team scores massively more points than the other. But I think in a tight game, in a game where the two teams are quite evenly matched, like both of the games you're talking about there, I think whoever can keep their offense on the park for longer is going to have a real chance of coming out on top.
Yeah, it's also like keeping your defense off the field, gives time to
Yeah.
to get a breather,
recover.
recover. It's totally, it's definitely, the whole complementary football side of thing is definitely a big factor there.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a factor for us right now. As I said, we've had a lot of really, really tough games, and our defense must be dead in their feet. They'll be crying out for a game where they're only on the field for 15 or 20 minutes.
Like, only 15 minutes of work today, chaps. That's what we want. Right. Okay, tell you, a final thought then on all things KC and the Bills. Much has been made this year about the Bills' Super Bowl window being closed and all the rest of it. We're not going to talk about Buffalo anymore. Well done, Buffalo. You won a game. You may well still make the playoffs this year. We'll see what happens. KC. Much is made about KC being the dynasty. They have taken the crown for the Patriots. Patriots were the dynasty. Now it's Kansas City are the dynasty. And there was a bit that I seen that this is stage 2 of the dynasty, where all of a sudden, Pat's expensive, Chris Brown's expensive, Travis Kelce's expensive. Travis Kelce's expensive and limping frequently.
Yeah.
And all of these young receivers, they're young. They're young receivers, so they make mistakes. Yep, okay, you would expect even young receivers to have better hands, maybe not drop as much. Nobody's going to sit here and pretend that Casey's wide receiver room hasn't had problems with drops this year. But they are young, they make mistakes like lining up on the wrong side of the ball. They're going to do that because you don't have the money anymore to have a room full of elite weapons for your quarterback. And yes, Patrick Mahomes is exactly the type of quarterback who can elevate average receivers around him. But are we starting to see things potentially enter a really tricky phase for Kansas City where all of a sudden they've got a few big fish taking up a lot of that cap and they're going to need to start to get clever with who they draft and how they actually acquire help for Mahomes, because Mahomes can do lots. And Mahomes, yeah, possibly by the time his career's over, we might well be crowning him the greatest quarterback to play the game. He is the kind of guy with the talent to potentially eclipse Brady, potentially. But Casey aren't showing us they can give him what he needs to go around him. Yeah, he's got Travis Kelce and he's fantastic, but how many years do we think Kelsey's got left in him? How are they going to help him? Are we seeing potentially a couple of dry years for Casey? Well, they'll make the playoffs because let's not kid ourselves on. They're going to walk that division every year. But that's about as much as they're going to do. What do we think? Do we think they're entering a tricky patch?
I certainly do. I think, like you said, when you were talking about the kind of stars and the cap space that they're taking up, the one that jumped out to me is Kelsey. He's not been quite the same Kelsey this year as he has been in years gone by, and I think that's only going to pick up pace as the years go by. I don't think he's got long left as that cheat code on in fantasy at tight end. Scoring wide receiver one type points. I think, yeah, once he goes, because right now, when you look at it, they're struggling at wide receiver. Is that suddenly going to change next season? Certainly, I don't think that they've got the draft picks to go and, pick up, ready-made stars. So I don't see that changing. And if they've not got that, that safety blanket for Mahomes at tight end anymore, I think it's going to be tough. And the other problem is they're not suddenly, you're not going to see Kansas City tanking and suddenly going really high up the draft order. So so it's where do they get those pieces from? I think that we're possibly looking at if they don't win it this year, then maybe 3 or 4 years perhaps where they're having to try and rebuild, and you just never know how that will turn out.
I'm choosing to believe that next year Kansas City are going to go 0-17.
Well, we can all hope and pray.
That's it. Get to William Hill. Get your next mortgage payment on it, boys. Get on it right now. Right. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Let's move this on. It is time to put week 14 in the rear view. It is time to start us off with the rest in one before we start to talk about our cruise missile, our players who crushed it. We are going to have for the first time, Kev is going to ball out. And we are going to wrap this one up, folks. And we're going to have a wee chat about all things playoff just before we wrap up as well today. So, as always, we are keeping it short, sweet, and to the point. It is the rest in one. It was the... Jesus, I can't believe I gave myself this game to talk about. It was the Pats at Pittsburgh. I don't know. Mitch is still horrendous, and nobody here has a quarterback that's worth anything. Zach Brannigan-ish. What a horrible game to watch. Yeah, I don't have anything better to say about this. It just upset me to have to subject myself to this game. It was exactly as boring as everyone thought it was going to be for Thursday Night Football. Moving away from my fumbling my way around talking about them. Kev, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. And this one wrapped up with Tampa Bay walking away 29-25. This was at least an interesting game.
Yeah, I'd say Tampa Bay's ship's rising.
Aye. God love Baker.
Yeah, Baker's the man.
I love him so much. Right, Liam, coming to you, mate. It was Detroit at the Bears. Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my, indeed. What did you make of this one?
The Lions are teamed again.
Yeah.
They were just kind of...
By the Bears?
I know.
Don't get wrong, well done, Bears fans. I'm sure you're sort of delighted. But did they call that one of the predictor? There was some money to be made at the bookies there. Right, we are coming back to me. It is the Colts. It was Colts at the Bengals. It was Minshew mania, but sadly not the good kind of mania. And who knew Jake Browning could actually play quarterback? And do you know what? This is my N1 for this. Chase scores a touchdown, but not that Chase. How many people did that upset when that happened? Right, Kev, we are coming to you, and I seem to be punishing you with games this week, mate. It was the Panthers at the Saints. New Orleans walked away 28-6 victors. Give us it in one, Chief.
I don't know how to sum it up. I'm stumped. I'm lost for words.
Bryce Young is not the guy. That is, there we go. We can go with
Yeah,
that.
let's
Bryce
do
Young
that.
needs help, actually. Let's go with that. Let's be nicer about
Yeah.
it. Bryce Young needs a hand because right now he's just getting abused. Liam, coming back to you for a game that was interesting, I think is actually the fairest way to say this game. Texans at the Jets. Jets whipped it 30-6. What was your big takeaway?
I suppose it has to be like Wilson squared his back, isn't it?
Like, who saw this coming?
I know exactly. Especially when he didn't want to play at the start of the week, apparently. You know that rumor.
I'll fully hold on. I thought he was washed. I thought, like, genuinely, I don't want to play anymore. We've asked him to step in. He doesn't want. Boom, done, out of the league, gone, go away, do not come back. And then, he comes back and he, relatively speaking, balled out. He played well.
Aaron Rodgers' return still alive as well.
Yes. Aye, it does. It keeps those, well, theoretically keeps some playoff hopes alive. I think theoretical's doing some pretty heavy lifting here, though, to be fair. Right, okay. Next one for me, it was the Ravens squaring off against the Rams. Ravens walking away with yet another victory. 37-31. Do you know what? I'm actually just going to say, walk off Wallace. This is actually quite a nice one. It was a sickener as somebody that wants to watch the Ravens fail, but they come away with an overtime return, punt return touchdown. You can't ask for much more drama in a game. What a way to end a game. Right, moving it on, so I don't need to talk about nice things about the Ravens anymore. Kev, keeping on our theme of giving you all of the absolute cracking games, Vikings at Raiders.
Well, 3-0. We only won 3-0. Aye, another football score. And I seen an interesting graphic earlier that somehow Las Vegas's ice hockey team managed to outscore their football team.
Golden Knights are playing the Sharks and it was 1-1. Oh man, I should feel bad for the Raiders, but I just don't. Liam, coming back to you, it is your second last one, mate. Seahawks at Niners.
I suppose it has to be Debo's rolling. Just Debo doing Debo things again.
Yeah, he is scary good, isn't he? Like, it's kind of terrifying how good all of the parts of that Niners team, but Debo is just coming on to absolute form. Right, okay. Last one for me. It was the Broncos at the Chargers, and the Chargers are done. That is it. They've ran out of charge. Somebody plug Herbert into the wall and leave him in overnight. He is done. His season is over, and with it, anything the Chargers had to hope for, which, to be fair, at 5-8 wasn't a lot. Kev, coming to you for your last one, and we're finally giving you a game that was decent. Titans at Finns.
Aye, it was Double H, trouble for the Dolphins, Henry and Hopkins. Got the job done.
That's another one where there was absolutely money to be made at the bookies here. Right. Imagine calling the Titans beating the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins have made a year out of beating bad teams, and they come up against a Will Levis-led Titans team and they fumble it at the end. They didn't even fumble it. The Titans fumbled it like twice. You have 2 free touchdowns and they still won.
It was veterans all the way, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Right, okay, and we are rounding this off. We didn't make him talk about it as a game of the week, folks, but we can't let him away with it entirely. Liam, your beloved Packers facing off against the mighty DeVito-led G-Men. 24-22 to the G-Men. Give us it in one, mate. Try and cry through the line.
Indeed. I don't know. DeVito grated his Parmesan cheese into his meal and ate it all, sort of thing. He was. I won't go into it more because I don't want
to. Because I don't want to. Did I take it? Everybody has seen Tommy DeVito's agent.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito's agent looks right. For everybody listening, for anybody who has not seen Tommy DeVito's agent, he looks exactly like what you think Tommy DeVito's agent looks like. Like, I am convinced that somehow he is everybody's uncle because he's just that kind of guy. When he was in the crowd with Tommy DeVito's dad giving him a big kiss after the game. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's a bit of a story, Tommy DeVito. Like, it really is.
Three wins on the bounce or something like that, isn't it?
I think theoretically, G-Men can make the playoffs. Tommy DeVito could lead the G-Men to the playoffs. It's a big ask, but it's possible.
That's that word theoretical doing another lot of heavy lifting in it.
This is where we need Stu to come on and do the statistics of how probable that actually is to happen. Not very is the answer, but you can do. Right. Okay, we're going to move through some of our final bits. So first, we are going to go for our fantasy. Who did the crew curse this week? I'm actually going to rename this segment that because it seems to be more often than not is talking about who we've cursed. So we had the studs and sleepers from last week. To remind everybody, the preview crew, not including Kev. Kev has to take some ownership of this. He gets to be smug, so it's okay. The preview crew named the following as their studs of the week: Jordan Love, Alexander Mattison, Tyreek Hill, Jake Ferguson, the Steelers DST, and Jake Elliott. And the sleepers, they went for Minshew, Kyron Williams, DJ Moore, Likely, the Packers, and Lutz. Now, Kev, you are the only member of the preview crew who gets to retain any dignity. Because would you like to tell us what part of the studs and sleepers were you responsible for, sir?
Well, I was wide receivers and kickers. So, I done all right.
Hey, I'm going to give you better than all right, mate. Come on now.
A pass mark.
That's DJ put up 26.8 points. That's better than pass marks. That's doing well. Now, do you know what, actually? Who this is where I can't remember. Who had tight ends? Can you remember who the tight ends?
I think that might have been Dan.
Oh, no, I don't need to say something nice about Dan, do I? All right, Dan, well done.
Oh, no, in fact, I tell a lie. Was it no Smudger who was on tight ends?
There we go, that's it. Wouldn't you, Dan? Smudger, well done, mate. You had a couple of nice shouts. Ferguson rocking up with 12.2 points. And Likely coming in, we've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it after the Mark Andrews injury, and he's stepped up 19.3 points this week. So yeah, there we go. The curse of the crew returns. I do like it that the idea of people that play in fantasy football watch for the preview crew putting that tweet out every week and then change their lineups accordingly. Just drop some folk out. Right, okay, guys. We have got 3 wee bits that we're going to go for. Cruise missile candidates. Liam, talk us through some of the cruise missile candidates of the week, and then we'll have a round the table and we'll see who we think's the big one.
So we had Sutton doing it again. Sutton catching another touchdown. Crazy catch again. Another week, another Sutton catch. And then Will Levis to D-Hop as well. And had a nice Gallup catch off of Dak this week. And then finally, I think the other one we talked about before the show was Ritter to London, where London kind of snatched out this guy away from two defenders, which was a nice play.
It was a beauty. Right, okay, guys. So, Liam, you can start us off, mate. What would your choice be for cruise missile of the week? And we better get an agreement between his boys, and Keith's going to need to sort this later.
I kind of want. I'm going to go for the last one I said. I think London. I just liked how he had to go pluck it, pull it away. Well, it wasn't even contested as such because it was high in the air, but he just kind of. It was going to go to the fender, and he just suddenly appeared. His hands just appeared and took out the sky. It was nice to see. Nice.
Kev, what about yourself of our candidates? What would be your big one of the week that you enjoyed? You don't need to pick the Cowboy, by the way.
No, I most certainly won't be picking the Cowboy. Gallup's not getting the award this week. I'm going to go for D-Hops. I think just in terms of we talk about missiles, that ball was aired out, man. That was launched up the field. And I'm going to go for D-Hops.
Right, I hate to do it to you, Liam. I'm a Kev. I really love that D-Hop one. Primarily because I do enjoy that Will Levis seems to have one good throw in him every 6 games. And I just enjoy getting to watch the one good chuck that he goes for. So I think this week our cruise missile was absolutely Will Levis to D-Hop. It was an absolute screamer. Right. Okay. I've totally lost my place. Crushed it, gentlemen. Who is your one player, can be either side of the ball for any team, anybody who crushed it for you this week? Kev, go with yourself, mate. Who have you got as your crusher this week? And we'll work our way around it.
I'm going with one of my favourites. Any excuse to give him a mention. King Henry, 2 touchdowns against the Dolphins, elevating his team. That's my crushed it nominee.
Kev, are you absolutely certain that you're not a Titans fan?
I'm just a King Henry fan. That's
a minute ago, Henry.
Yeah.
We'll do a wee crowdfund. We'll do a wee GoFundMe and get you a Titans jersey, mate.
I know. I mean, I do wonder why I own both of those players in the vast majority of the fantasy leagues that I'm in.
you like who you like, mate. What about yourself, Liam? Who would your choice be for crushed it of the week?
I think we'll go back. We kind of alluded to him earlier, but Debo, I think Samuel again, 149 yards, touchdown, and then a rushing touchdown. Only 1 yard, but I think it was basically like basically. I think he fell at the 1 yard line or something like that, and like, right, we'll just get you in then. We'll just give you another play. You can run it in this time. Just finish it off.
Like that. We'll just give you one more.
Yeah. Why not?
For me, I was torn. I was torn between two. Do you know what? To keep it interesting, I'm going to go for somebody else, although they are on the same team. I'm going to go with CMC. CMC doing CMC things. I absolutely hate how good he's been this year because I fear that I'm going to wind up playing him in some fantasy playoffs. And I really don't want to do that again. So, yeah, I'm going to say for CMC, for my crushed it of the week, I think generally we can actually just say the Niners offense crushed it this week because they are just good in every aspect of the game. Right, Kev, to start to round us off, for last wee bit for you, sir, then Liam, we're going to give you I'm going to ask you a wee playoff question, so you can be just thinking about your playoff permutations. Kev, we have been talking about a wee segment we wanted you to start with. We've decided that Kev's going to ball out. Who is your ball out of the week?
My standout player of the week is you name checked him earlier. Tylan Wallace for that overtime punt return walk off winner touchdown. It was incredible to watch. The guy catches the ball in the centre of the field, runs all the way out onto the edge, evading tackles. He does a pirouette. He keeps going after contact. The last defender makes a desperate dive and actually slaps his ankle, and he stumbles and manages to stay at his feet. Somehow stays inbound because he's so close to the touchline, and then sprints up the line and does a little somersault into the end zone to celebrate. And so that was my play of the week.
It is one where I hate it so much because I respect it.
Yeah.
I really do. I was sat watching that game quietly thinking to myself, if the Ravens lose this, there's a chance that we take them. It's not likely, again, theoretically doing all the heavy lifting, but there's a chance. But no, that was, what a way to end the game. You struggle to think of much better ways to close out a game than that, don't you, Liam? Well, that's about as good as it gets.
I think there's a kind of hardball kind of running off, and he went up to one of the cameras, just shouting into it, celebrating. It's just it must be an amazing feeling just for everyone on the team. Just to I know it's your favorite team, Brian, but just must be some feeling to just walk off the field.
Yeah. It sickens me, but you need to respect it. Right, okay. We are going to close things out. Before we do the statistic of the week, Liam, I'm going to pose to you a playoff puzzler. I didn't even think of that name beforehand, guys. I just so, off the top of the head. So, I'm going to give you 4 teams for each side of the league. 4 for the AFC, 4 for the NFC. And they are teams that are currently on the bubble. They are not in the playoffs as of today. I want to know which teams you think make it. So we have got from the AFC side, we have got the 7-6 Texans, the 7-6 Broncos, the 7-6 Bengals, and the 7-6 Buffalo Bills. And on the NFC side, we have got the 6-7 Rams, the 6-7 Seahawks, the 6-7 Falcons, and the 6-7 Saints. Now, for the sake of this exercise, we are going to say two. Kev, I'll ask you as well, mate. Two of each of them are going to make it into the playoffs. Now, you don't need to specify who they beat out. You don't need to talk about, they're going to win their division, any of that. Just pure gut NFL fan instinct. I just like their chances. Who do you see taking it and sneaking their way in? Season ends today. None of those teams are in the playoffs. Season doesn't end today, but so who do you see sneaking their way in? So AFC teams again.
AFC.
Texans, Broncos, Bengals, Bills. Who do you see?
I don't think I'd ever see this a few weeks into the season, but I think the Broncos are going to sneak in.
Broncos country.
Because I think the Steelers, the Colts, and the Texans, they all play each other or play a mixture of each other, and the Bengals and stuff, they all kind of going to cancel each other out. Broncos are going to sneak in, and I think I would like to see the Texans in because they're just fun to see, aren't they?
Yeah, fun and frisky.
Yeah. Over to the NFC. I don't know. I suppose you probably have to put the Falcons in there because you have no idea what's going to happen in that division, do you? No idea. Just flip-flops all over the place. I have no idea what to do with them. It's like, I don't know what's going on.
Please just bin it.
And yeah, and then of the teams just outside, I suppose the Rams, after the week they even really lost, you still got Stafford slinging it about sometimes. You know, this week did it well. Well, yes, he's had his moments.
Stafford occasionally slings it for him.
Yeah, he doesn't work. But yeah, it was kind of impressive. Even though they lost, it was impressive to see them, against the Ravens defense. So whether they can still kick on from that, yeah, that's if I'm going to pick two teams to sneak in, obviously not to lose the Packers out of it, obviously. But hey, yeah,
of course,
somehow that I don't think that can happen, but somehow,
it's we're gonna manifest that into existence. Don't know how we do that, but we're gonna try. Kev, what about you, mate? What do you reckon?
Well, I've got to agree with Liam. I definitely want to see the Texans sneak in because I'm just loving watching CJ, playing football this year. And also, they're one of the fun and frisky teams that we talked about on the other pod. And I think out of the four that you mentioned there, I think Bills probably because they are still on their day a match for any team. So I think they've got a realistic chance of sneaking their way in. And then NFC, again, Rams for sure. I would say the Rams. I'd like to see them there. Just again, I'd love to see Puka in the playoffs, and hopefully Cup. Getting back to his best because they're good to watch when they're in full flow. And the rest, I mean, the other three in the NFC, I wouldn't really particularly want to see any of them.
Kev refuses to consider conscience. No, they all suck bad enough. None of them deserve consideration.
None of them do deserve it. The rest of them, no, forget about
it. I like the idea. Oh, Brian, yeah, put a playoff puzzler to Kevin. Kev's answer was no. Right, okay, guys, we are going to wrap things up as we always do with our statistic of the week. Now, there can only be one statistic of the week because there has been a record set this week. And whenever we set a record, we like to recognise it here in the show. So there was a record on Monday night that there was 17,561 victories to none. I don't actually know if that's true, but lots to none. No team had ever lost when they had a 14-point or more victory with less than 3 minutes remaining on the clock in the fourth. And the Dolphins managed to be the first team in the league's history to blow that lead. So, Miami, to you, welcome to being the new Falcons. You're meant to beat bad teams, but hey-ho, you can't do that anymore either. I should be nicer to Miami. They've been really entertaining all year. But with that said, that draws us to a close. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We hope you've enjoyed listening to our review of all things Week 14. Now, remember, you can get in touch with us on X at Irn-Cru. You can find us on Insta, grid_iron_crew. Stick Irn-Cru into YouTube, stick it into Threads, stick it into Twitch, and wherever you get your podcasts, you can catch up with us. Remember, we've got many days of football this week because we've got Thursday night football and we've got football on Saturday. And remember, your week 15 of the NFL starts with the preview crew, and you can join Dan and the guy. Oh, it's Keith and the guys actually this week on Thursday night. And a final bit to remember, as a wee commemoration of what we've been talking about last week when we were talking about my cleats, we had a little look and we went for the My Crews, My Cleats thread on X. Dive on, give it a look. You can find all of the different charities that the crew supports there. And any time of the year, but particularly this time of the year, folks, all of these causes are fantastic and they're well worth supporting. So with that all said, thank you very much for listening, folks. Kev, thank you very much for joining me this evening, mate.
Thanks, Brian.
And Liam, as always, a pleasure to have you on, sir.
Indeed, thanks again. Thanks as always.
And with that said, we will catch you folks ready next week for the review of Week 15.